Welcome to Unconventional. I'm your host, Bill Tessar. Unique stories from entrepreneurs that have failed, picked themselves up, been knocked down, picked themselves up again, traveled roads that few travel. It's about digging into the successes that people have found in real estate, financing, lending, and the like. Welcome to today's episode of Unconventional, where we explore bold paths and people who walk them. Most people aim for a predictability and a steady paycheck, a safe career, maybe a retirement party one day. But our guest that we have sitting next to me, he walked off the beaten path and never looked back. He started as a carpenter, grew into a builder, and then built a business empire with systems, strategy, and scale. And now he teaches others how to compress what took him years into months. A mentor, author, and performance home pioneer, he's here to talk shop, legacy, and living life on his own terms. Please welcome Terry Thayer, owner of Thayer Homes. My man.
Good to see you.
First, I want to toast you.
Oh, heck
For those folks at home watching us, it is 8:06 a.m. I'm going to go over the mic like this.
Good stuff.
Just where we left off last night. We had fun last night, didn't we?
We did. Great restaurant.
Good.
Great restaurant, great company.
Yeah, so so Terry and I, we got to enjoy a nice steak dinner with our wives. Your partner, Christy, came out, and my wife joined us, and that was a super fun evening. Got to drink a little bit of that and a little bit of wine. Yep. A little bit of steak. The steak was good, right?
Steak was great.
I mean, you can't overhype that stuff enough, and I always wait, but I think probably the highlight's the cheesecake.
Oh,
cheesecake's freaky.
It was really good. Completely different. Never had anything like that before. Very good.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. So what's got you fired up right now other than cheesecake?
Honestly, the future, what's coming, everything that's happening in the world right now, there's going to be some rocky, bumpy roads, but where we're going, I'm stocking up for it because I just feel like there's just going to be this great bust of greatness. Number one, that's got me excited. Things that we've been doing in our business to simplify things, systematize things. Our daughter's in the business and she's learning. It's been the most rewarding and stressful thing I've ever done in my entire life.
You mean with your daughter?
Yes. Yeah. So she's 21. She wants to be in the business. She wants to be building. She's out in the field. We've got this 95-pound, 5-foot little girl, dealing with all these contractors and just trying to, get that in her head and make her understand business and how to manage and all the different pieces of building. It's been, again, very rewarding and very stressful.
Does she get shaken up by some of those contractors, or having you, who's a very, very strong father figure, has that helped her deal with some of the different personalities on the job?
Yeah, she doesn't have any issues with the contractors. No, and she has a way with herself, she comes across honestly, people are yeah, I want to deal with her, not you.
Really?
The painter said one day she got stern with the painter, and the painter's just he just sat there and he said to her, I can't even argue with you. She's
really good
I'm going to yell at this little girl. You know what I mean?
Okay, so
and she's like, okay, I'll do it.
I love that. And I know that you started in the business as a carpenter, yeah?
Yeah.
Your father was a carpenter?
Yes.
And so a carpenter with wood, carpenter with what? Different definitions?
Yeah, right. So yeah, wood. I mean, I grew up in New York and worked beside him every chance I got, and ended up moving down to North Carolina, down to North Carolina 30 years ago. But before that, we did anything from building additions, siding work, but more wood, crafty siding type of stuff. And as I evolved, moved down to North Carolina, turned into vinyl siding. But then when I went off on my own, that's when I really sharpened carpenter skills, because I wanted to focus on that.
You were working with your father for how long?
I mean, since I could walk. I mean,
so you were on the job site as a kid?
Always on the job site, all the way up until in 2000 is when I left.
And how long was that, working alongside him, watching his craft and what you thought he did great and maybe things that you thought could be better?
Yeah. So full time without being in school and doing summers and all that stuff, 5 years.
5 years.
So 95, 2000. prior to that, it was 10 years. Like, and you don't really learn, like you kind of get the basics and stuff, but really that 5 years was where I really got a lot of that experience.
And was your dad as enthusiastic about teaching you as you are with your daughter?
I don't think so. I don't know. It's just like he's very business oriented.
And it's old school,
yeah,
right?
It's very. It's
Pick
different.
it up as you observe.
Exactly.
Were
Exactly.
there like clear? That's not how I would have done things if I were in charge while you were underneath his kind of tutelage.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No,
there was just learning.
Well, there's other things that in business, like as that whole thing evolved and grew, like I wasn't picking up tools. I was managing people. At one point in time, just before I left, I had 250 guys under me, and we were traveling up down the East Coast.
Oh, your dad had an operation.
Oh yeah, it turned into a pretty big operation.
Okay, all right.
It wasn't like that in New York. It was me, him, and a couple guys. When I first moved to North Carolina, very similar. But then that quickly, it was the right time, right place, the right need of that particular type of contractor, and he just kind of exploded.
See, I didn't know your dad was that big. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
So when you decided, I'm going to do things on my own, was that a tough break for you and your father? Was he excited for you? Was he sad?
Sad.
He was sad.
Well, I think it was more or less like, for me, he's very old school, right? And I was in my early 20s, and I was making good money for a kid in the early 20s. He was paying me like $100,000, but at the same time, for what I was doing, he wasn't paying me good money. And I just knew that I had a lot more drive and ambition and I know I can make a lot more, and I wanted to do bigger things. And he just wanted to stay in that lane and do that one thing, just do that one thing, because he's doing it really good. He's making money. He's at the end of his career. I'm at the beginning of my career. So yeah, it was.
Was he thinking you were going to take over the business?
I don't know.
You never had that
I
conversation?
I asked that question to myself all the time. I don't know if it's never had that conversation.
It's a weird dynamic, because I think like I have children who also happen to be in the business. I did not bring them into the business either. I've never thought about them taking over anything. I've always wanted them to blaze their own path. But the truth is, like, if one of them said, "Hey, I'm going to go start my own lending thing," yeah, I could see being sad, because in a sense there's you're rooting for them as a father, and you're competing against them because you have a responsibility to your employees, and like so. Yeah, that is interesting. When you made the break from your dad, and he had all this success, do you even remember kind of like what the beginning was like, where the fear factor was for you, or did you dive right in, find a property, say I'm going to build this thing, or like what was the transition point for you?
Yeah, there was a transition point. So when I left him, I had my own crews as well that subcontracted from him. So I found a weak spot in the business, which was the multifamily stuff. Every time we hired a sub, it was just atrocious. We would have to go in, clean everything up. So I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm going to fill that hole, fill that void. And I ended up starting my own company. And I had 60 guys that traveled up and down the East Coast.
Oh, my God.
That was my sub crew. So I ended up selling off most of that to him, giving him the guys. I kept small little crew just to do residential single family homes. So my transition was, we still had the crew, and I decided to completely separate 100%, not keep one foot in this business while I'm over here. I subbed for other people.
That's ballsy as a 20-something-year-old to do that.
The thing was, I wanted more and bigger things. I can't say bigger things. Like he was doing very well. There was no reason for him to go off his path. And I get it today. Like I didn't get it then. I didn't want to just do siding. Like I wanted to do roofing, windows, like start adding in all these other things. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to build. Like we were doing all this stuff for builders, and I'm like, I want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that we're doing all this work for. Mm-hmm. And so when I transitioned, I was subcontracting. I had money coming in, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what my next step was. I didn't know how to become a builder. I didn't know how to, I thought I had to have all this cash in my pocket to build houses. And then when I sell it, I get that money back plus profits.
Right.
I didn't realize banks and lending and all these different ways of doing things, number one. I didn't know how to get licensed. I knew nothing. And so, 2000 it started. So from 2000 to 2003, finally got some people that were helping me out and like kind of showing me, hey, do this, point me in the right direction. Because like the internet wasn't like it is today.
No.
You know, in 2000, 2003. No. So it's not doing that research or chat GTP and
Right.
different things that like give you the answer right then and there. So I had to search for it. And then I got licensed in 2003. But between that time, I was doing renovations for people, do kitchens and bathrooms.
So that was your cash flow.
Yeah.
Did your pops help you along the line with the banking and the financing and the licensing, or was it more like you wanted to do it on your own? You didn't want to bother him with that since you broke off?
Yeah, there was this kind of like, we just went our own paths with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was. I'm like, I'm doing this.
Yes.
There's not going to be this, hey, he showed you how to do this or paved the way for you.
Yeah.
This was my thing.
Okay. And so the subcontracting is your cash flow. Did you save a couple bucks and go buy a property and say, I'm gonna be that guy that you were pointing to earlier, saying I want to be that builder?
Yeah,
like,
no, I didn't know how to buy. I knew nothing.
Okay.
So it was 2003 when I got licensed. Me and a buddy of mine, he got licensed just before me. We bought a property.
And license meaning your general contracting?
Licensed general contracting.
Okay, GC.
Yeah.
Okay.
GC. I failed the test the first time. He passed. I ended up passing right after we purchased this property. So the permit was under his license. We bought this house. We cut the roof off of it, put a second floor addition, made it a 4-bedroom, 4-bath house.
Okay.
It was right by NC State University, and we did it to rent it out by the room. And so that was our first project.
You said 03?
That was in 03.
Okay.
We were in a company. There was a little sign shop down the road. And we made up this name. Like, we didn't go get an LLC first. We made up this name, had them print out this little sign that said Titan Development, whatever. We put it out in the yard, and next thing we know, it was like the best marketing ever back then.
A sign in the yard?
Little sign of a company that didn't even exist yet.
Wow.
We hadn't even created an LLC. And people wanted to sell us their house. They wanted us to do additions on their house, and it just like, bam, it was just like that.
That is so cool.
And so this whole little neighborhood, I think between properties we bought and put additions on and flipped, or second floor roofs, or did stuff for the homeowners, probably somewhere in about 30 houses in that first year or so.
And that got you going.
Just like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so how long did you and that partner stay connected doing what you were doing under Titan?
So up until about 2007.
Well, that was, 2007 is when the world came to an end from a finance
Exactly.
standpoint.
We got lucky, actually.
How? Tell me how.
Because the separation, everything sold, it just, timing worked out perfect.
So you guys each had your own cash and you didn't have a bunch of inventory?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
We didn't have any inventory.
That's like, people probably don't remember this, but there was a moment in time during that financial crisis where there was a thing called a mortgage implode meter, and there were 300 or 400 banks on their biggies, right? That's where Countrywide failed, and a GMAC and RFC and the likes. But we'd literally, when we originated loans, there was no wires for payments. We got a check, and we had to run to the bank to cash it because the businesses were failing so quick. And I remember there were a few checks, towards the end of that financial crisis, which we didn't get to the bank in time. Like, meaning they funded it in the morning and they were closed by the afternoon. It was kind of crazy. But so, I would consider that kind of a near miss for you.
On that side, but
Yes.
I had a cabinet shop. This was on my own, not with him. Cabinet shop, granite fabrication shop, and we did work for builders. That's where we got hurt.
Okay, because they couldn't pay you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had so much out there, and then it was like a switch. It was like
It really was, right?
Literally, it was like we were rowing. Everything was going. I felt because we were in North Carolina, it wasn't going to affect us. We're seeing things outside. I'm like, no, not here. Like, this place is different.
Right. People are different. They honor their words. They don't get affected.
Not only that, just the way that economy was in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. It's always, I've been there 30 years. It's always top 5, 10 in the country of something, the best places to live, fastest growing cities in the nation, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. And I remember it being right around Easter time, Easter 08. It was like a switch. It just shut off. Like, all of a sudden, no jobs were coming in, and the checks stopped coming in.
So what'd you do? What'd you do during that? So that was really 07, 08, 09. It was really the tail end of 09, at least from on the banking side, where things, people started buying mortgages again. And when I say buying, like Wall Street put their nose back in and was getting back in. What about for you?
So prior to that, I still don't know how we got loans to this day. I don't remember ever giving a social security number, nothing. My partner would call me up, like he did more of the business end of it, and I was more of the builder. Mm-hmm. Called me up, hey, meet over at Wachovia Bank, which Wells Fargo bought them out. Wachovia Bank, signed some loans or signed some papers, and boom, we had this loan to build $1 million house. And it was wild. So I didn't understand any other type of lending other than bank lending, because that's what I learned in 03 all the way up to that point. When that went away, I never knew about hard money lending or other institutional types of lendings like CV3, private money, nothing. So that didn't exist. So I learned it, and I learned about it in probably not till 2011. So
coming out of the crisis.
Yeah. So during that time, I did high-end renovations for people.
And that's how you made a living, and that's how you kept your nose in the game.
Right. We did, we wouldn't take on a project unless it was a minimum $150,000 deal.
Okay.
And most of that would be like a kitchen, like going in and remodeling the kitchen, maybe the flooring or something out in that area.
Yep.
A little bit of paint. And so, we did projects up to almost $1 million, just renovations.
Now, you're not with your partner at this time. You guys split, right?
Yeah, we split. He went a different direction, more into, what is it? He's an inventor. He comes up with all these different products and stuff. So he went that direction. I stayed in.
You keep in touch with him?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 11. And then how many years are you grinding out through the rehab thing before you become a builder?
Yeah, so good question. So even prior to the crash, I wasn't a business person. I rebuilt houses. It was that was a grind. I was on sites every day. I was, every part of the business. 2011, we learned about private money. Raised some private money, started flipping houses.
Okay.
I think it was probably for maybe another year, 2 years.
So 11 to 13?
Yeah, 11 to 13. And then we started learning more about your type of lending. Mm-hmm. And that's when, between private and that type of lending, we started building houses again.
Okay, so between 11 and a 13, as you were flipping, what is an idea for those that are tuning in? What is a flip to you? You buy a home that's dinged up? Walk me through a flip.
So the first one that we bought was a house that had caught on fire. So it had some damage up in the roof, smoke damage throughout the house. It was from a wholesaler. So a wholesaler got this property in contract directly with the seller. Mm-hmm. He assigned the contract to me. I bought the contract, and we went in and fixed the house up, got it, back to perfect condition, put it on the market, and resold it.
You make money?
And we made very little on that one. I underestimated some of the fire damage.
Okay.
So very little on that one. But then from there, it started buying the right types of properties and started doing marketing to buy these properties.
From wholesalers or from even for sale by owners?
Both.
Okay.
Mostly direct. We were going direct to seller. We would buy some from wholesalers, but there wasn't as much meat left on when I bought from a wholesaler, so we were going direct. We did that for several years, and then I was like, let's get into this new construction.
It was in the back of your head, right?
Let's get back into
it. The builder 6 years ago, I want to be that guy, and all along you kind of want to be that guy.
Yeah, number one, and the other thing is when you're flipping houses, you have to be very involved. There has to be some type of person that has knowledge that can walk into a property, evaluate a property, create the right scope of work. When I'm building new houses, I never need to leave an office or a house. The part that goes out in the field that's actually built, that's the easiest part. So it's the way I describe it. I give you a 5,000 piece Lego set. Maybe I give you the box too that has a picture on it. I say, Bill, go ahead and build this Lego set. I don't give you the instruction manual. We take that out. It's going to be pretty hard.
Yes.
It's probably not even going to be perfect. There's going to be things, you might get it pretty close, and it's going to take some time. Now I hand you that instruction manual. Step 1. Step 2, this color. Yeah. Step 3, that's what we do prior to ever breaking ground and going vertical. So that's why I say the easiest part is actually building. So people get like so hung up on, oh, you have to have all this experience. Like what they see a GC is this person like a master carpenter. Nope. Like anybody can do this if you have the right drive mindset, but then the guidance and instructions obviously help you go there in a straight line.
Sure. And you're building these homes for you to sell. You're not building them for somebody else to live in, correct? Because that's a business model as well. But that's where you got the people changing your sinks and your carpets and your windows, and that's kind of a pain in the ass.
Totally. Yeah. We do not do custom builds. We do pre-sell some homes, so we'll sell them early on and give them some of the selections. They're allowed to make some selections. But yeah, I don't want to get into the whole, it's just not our business model.
So as you think about your flip career, even for a couple of years, and you think about like building now, is building everything you thought it would be?
Yes.
You love it?
We're finally there.
You love it?
Yes, I love it.
And
what's the saying? When you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah. I forget what movie that came from, but it's a great statement.
It came from a movie?
Yeah, I think. Okay. Well, and that came from a quote.
Yeah, right.
That I can't remember where
that's the original.
Exactly. How many projects would you say is a lot for you to work on at one given time, and where you start feeling the stresses of the decisions and the crews and all the nuance that comes with building a home?
I don't know that there's a number like that, because if I wanted to scale and I wanted to do more, I can just put more people in place to run the processes that we do. Obviously, when you expand, you have to change those processes and systems a little bit. But for me, what we're doing right now, like this year, we'll do 40-something builds. We're 40-something.
Is that when you say builds, is that from the bottom up?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's 40-something builds.
Significant.
16 of them we're keeping as rentals. So those are long-term. We're going to keep them.
24 you're selling.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And so next year we kind of switch. We're doing a lot of infill stuff. And moving forward, like more of the stuff that we're getting ready to start towards this end of the year is getting into developments. And so we become a part of a builder team, and we pick lots, and I have to do no horizontal. I go in there, I take my product, we pull permits, we go vertical.
Wow.
So that's what I'm focusing on moving forward.
Okay.
We were doing that a couple of years ago. I pulled out of that for silly reasons, and now I just want to go. 25 houses, 25, 30 houses a year. That's all I want to do. These are like, depending on the neighborhood, 3,000 to 5,000 square foot. Those
are big homes.
Yeah, like $1 million to $2.5 million.
And what would you say the distances from the farthest house to the farthest house, just for idea of scope of how much traveling you're doing between jobs?
So I don't like to go out of little pockets.
Okay.
It's like everything right now is in this small little pocket. Like when we're getting ready to start the next batch of 10 or something, I want to make sure that we're finished with this one so that we can go over here.
Okay.
And I don't like to travel. So it stays pretty tight. Like right now, they're 7 minutes from my house.
All of them.
So those are cool because we're doing 11. They're right in a row. Trying to knock those out. We'll get started on the first 10 of the 16 that we're keeping, which then that takes us probably another 10 minutes from that project. So they stay pretty close. As we finish these up, now we're going to another side of town, and those actually, there's a couple that spread out. They're probably a good 20 minutes apart, but probably closest to me is 20 minutes and then 30, 40 minutes.
Do you mind sharing the story? I think we're taking a step back, but I thought it was a fascinating story last night that you and your wife, Christy, were sharing with us, where you built a home or you did a rehab in a home in one of the worst areas of Carolina, where I think you had explained the Bloods and the Crips were at odds with each other.
Yes.
Walk me through that. What year was that, by the way?
That was 13.
Okay, so
when we started buying.
Okay, so
that's the new builds that we started with.
walk me through that, because I like the punchline of what has come of what you guys have done there and how you changed that community is really what I'm getting at. But walk us through.
That was probably one of the riskiest things that we've ever done. The city had tore down a whole area, redeveloped, and had some mortgage program for first-time home buyers, or I'm not sure exactly what the details were on it. We went like 3 blocks away from that, which was a war zone. Like most of the houses were abandoned, torn down, falling apart, but there was gangs, drug dealers. Like it was like an episode of Cops every 30 minutes. It felt like sitting over there doing work. We started buying up. The one thing that we wanted to do is we didn't want to just go buy one to test the waters, because we knew we'd fail. We had to make a difference. So we basically bought up like a good portion of the street. And we just started.
At the same time?
Yes. And we just started, this was risky. And we were buying them for like $20,000, $30,000, these lots. And we were building and selling for a rate around $300. And we were just slamming up product. So I was like trying to like build a neighborhood and change the area. It worked out the way we wanted it to.
You had neighbors watching the properties while you were building,
Oh, yeah.
right?
We would pay their utilities for the next year to be our eyes and ears, text me, let me know what's going on.
Wow.
Became friends with a lot of different people over there.
And some of the tough guys too, right? You became
yeah.
friends with, like
All of
they
them.
appreciated what you were doing,
Yeah.
as opposed to feel like you're infringing on.
There was some
little bit of that?
sketchy times. There was this one lot on a corner that they liked to hang out on. Mm-hmm. And as soon as we came in there, like it was like, okay, you're coming in my territory. And there was some friction there for a minute. But it was pretty wild. That I remember the first house that we sold, that we built it, and I'm driving down the road to one of the other projects. I see the home inspector, and we're closing in like 2 or 3 days. Home inspector, so I pulled in. I'm like, hey, everything good? He's like, yeah, everything's good. And he was like, oh, except for this, I need you to make this one repair, and hands me a bullet. And I'm like, okay, where'd this come from? He's like, yeah, there's a hole in the siding right there. And I'm like, holy crap. So I go inside, did it go through? Then he pulled it out of the side. Within minutes, the home buyer pulls up. She asks, everything good? Yeah, other than I just handed him, he's got to make one little repair, we pull the bullet out of the side. And she could see, like, I'm having a panic attack. For sure, she's backing out. This is a single woman, okay? For sure, the first buyer, I'm freaking out, sweating bullets, and she's like, that's nothing. I just came from Memphis. I'm not worried about that. And I'm like, oh, thank God. That was our first buyer.
I knew what he was doing. Is he just yapping?
No, it just seemed like very natural. Like he wasn't trying to like, screw up the sale.
I came from Memphis.
She said, okay. That's nothing. This is nothing.
Oh my God.
I came from Memphis.
Oh my
and
God.
I'm like breathing through a brown paper bag, like trying to get my breath. Yeah. So that was our first one, and it closed. Oh, and then the day of closing, a bullet ripped through the gutter, and I had to change the gutter on that house. So within a couple of days, we had to make 2 repairs from bullets.
I mean, that's a tough neighborhood.
It was a very tough neighborhood.
But as you closed that one, you closed others. I just remember you and your wife, Christy, were talking about driving back down through that neighborhood sometime later. And walk me through that.
Yeah, so we're doing some of the last houses over there. And I remember being out there on the corner, and one of the cops came up to me, and he said, he said, you're the builder over here? I said, yeah. He said, I wanted to come and shake your hand. He said, I've been working this area for, 20 something years. And he said, we've all been scared to come into this neighborhood. He's like, thank you so much for making this a safe neighborhood.
Wow.
And changing this area. He said, we actually don't mind coming over here anymore.
Wow.
And it went from, gangs, like bold. Like these drug dealers would walk, you'd see literally bags of cash go into the drug house and you see them walk out with bags of drugs. Like they weren't even hiding it. Very bold. It went from that to people walking their babies with baby carriages down the street.
Well, cheers to that.
It was pretty cool.
I was looking for a reason to cheers. That's a good one. It is interesting, right? One of the things you shared is that as a builder, if you've been doing it long enough, like your legacy in these neighborhoods are birthdays, weddings,
Memories.
Funerals, whatever,
Yeah.
but just life's memories in these neighborhoods that you help create by building the home. No builders ever told me that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild because you know that structure is going to be around a lot longer than I'm going to be.
Yeah.
And the amount of families that will go, excuse me.
Yeah. You want another?
Oh, here.
You're going, geez, that's a bite you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. It will be around a lot longer than we will. And it's there's a movie out right now with Tom Hanks, and I forget what it was, but they walk you through the generations of a house, and it shows the different people that had the
Oh,
different
wow,
memories.
really?
Yeah, which kind of describes a little bit about what you're describing, but it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, sometimes when I drive in these neighborhoods and I look at these houses, and it's been maybe the earlier ones, and how many different families have already lived there? What's happened? What's taken place? I mean, is there maybe babies born? And just a lot of different history that would happen in these homes that we provided.
So you took me through 13, 14. You got some momentum as a builder. Was there kind of a transition point for you where you started thinking about being the best version of yourself through systems and putting that together? Because I know that you and your wife both think about that a lot differently than other builders necessarily think about. So when did systems kind of work its way into your life?
Yeah, so I mean, when was I introduced to it? So I did everything wrong prior to that. It was just like a grind. It was a grind, a hustle, did things, made money. And we were introduced right around that time, around 2013. And I remember going into a coaching program, and I remember, what is that book? E-Myth.
Okay.
And that was my first awakening to learning about systems. And it's like this multi-billion-dollar company, McDonald's, that has all these locations, and each one of these locations make multi-million dollars, and they're run by kids making minimum wage. Holy, never thought about that. That's, if these companies could do it, why can't we do stuff like this? Mm-hmm. And that was my first eye opener, but went through a lot of trials and errors and, figuring things out, what works, what doesn't work. And, I feel like now, we've got things pretty dialed in, and now it's just before it was done, and now we're trying to make every one of those done a little more perfect.
Okay, so you're it's inspecting what you expect and then pivoting on the things that could be. Yeah,
exactly.
So that was around the same time, 13, 14, you started that?
That's when it started. Mm-hmm. But I was literally going from hardcore technician to okay, how do we turn this into something I can manage, and then really turn into a business? That took many years, and I think some of the biggest things is trying to unlearn what you know to relearn something new that's going to take you into a different direction.
Yeah, and I also think you have an amazing calmness to you that could not be possible if you didn't have some level of systems behind you, or an unbelievable partner in Christy.
Yes, yin and yang.
In the beginning, we've done some financing for you back in Oldco through now, and I didn't even know there was a Terry. We only knew that there was a Christy, and I only knew that through Branda, who was working with her.
Right.
We didn't know that there was a second part to the partnership.
Because you stay on the smart side. She deals with the smart side of stuff. I do the dumb things.
For all of you that can't see, Christy's in the background nodding her head like this. Of course you should all know that. No, but so it is an interesting partnership that clearly works. Is it challenging being married to your partner?
Sometimes, there's always going to be challenges with that, and we've gone through a lot of different, trying to figure out what's best for her, what's best for me, how we work together, and you figure things out, and I think things are really good now.
Yeah, my observation, again, so don't throw anything at me, is that the relationship from my optics is wonderful, because it seems like both of you really do stay in your own lane and respect one another in what the expertise is.
Yep.
And if somebody kind of crosses into the lane, they get a little hip check and get back out of it. But it's just it's a neat dynamic, and the mutual respect is seen from my seat. And so
for many years it was this, and who does what, who's better at this. But once you figure that out, it goes
good.
Pretty seamless.
So you go through 14, and now you go through your first conference or mastermind, if you will, you take away from this E-myth and you start putting systems together. Do you start finding yourself going to more of these masterminds?
Oh, heck yeah. I became obsessed.
You loved it.
It got to the point where it was like too much because I was spending too much time like on intake where I couldn't actually, go out and put things together. Like I was just so obsessed with the information and being around like-minded individuals. And then just got to a point where I was like, you know what, this is a lot. I need to now implement these things and that I know I've learned and start putting it together in my own business.
Yeah, it's when you're in the business long enough, at least this is my truth, any book I read, any conference I go to, any mastermind group, they've had a thing called Mastermind in lending from, I think, like 1990, 92, run by a guy by the name of Todd Duncan that I went to back then. I always try to get one nugget. Yeah. Like I don't try to figure the whole thing out, just one thing that I could bring back and be a better version of myself. Yes. Is that kind of your angle too?
Now.
Yeah, because before you're swallowing
it was just
everything.
Information overload.
Yeah,
like, it's too much.
But you network too, right?
Oh, heck yeah. Met a lot of people.
Walk me through this story of you and your buddy, and you're like, hey, man, this is so cool. We like hanging. I'm going to put a little Facebook page up. Walk me through that because it's brilliant.
So I just had this wild hair one day, and I was like, it would be pretty cool to get a bunch of real estate investors. And I think we were at a resort. That's what it was. We were at a resort. And I said to my wife, I was like, wouldn't it be pretty cool to get a bunch of real estate investors at a place like this just to hang out, just network, like-minded individuals in a different, relaxed setting. And so we talked about it, and then maybe a couple weeks later, I put a post on Facebook, and I described, hey, wouldn't it be cool, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like flooded with comments, like, yes, 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 do it. Like, that would be great. And maybe 6+ months later, I started acting on it. I think we went back to that resort, and I went and talked to the people. I was like, hey, put something together. So yeah, then I put it out there, put another post, hey, we're going to do this whole thing. And then 2 of my buddies, they were like, hey, I've always wanted to do that. You need some help? I'm like, this is not a business.
It's a gathering.
It's just, we're hanging out. Yeah, any help, like, chaperones, like type of, stuff. Sure. Like, yeah, whatever you can do. Yeah, you get the napkins, you get the spoons. Like, let's do this together. And so we had no agenda. It was just
no itinerary, no agenda. Everyone get there and we'll figure things out.
Get there on this day and you leave on this day. That was it. And we're just gonna like hang out and enjoy each other.
And was it a form of networking or was it partying or both?
Both, all the above. Yeah, there was lots of tequila involved.
So 2 days. Where'd you guys go?
Mexico.
So you went to Mexico 2 days, 3 days.
No, a week.
You guys went for a week and partied and networked with no agenda, no itinerary, no nothing.
We had this big giant villa. And so what it evolved into is like every evening we would hang out at the villa and like, there was sessions where like, I would speak on things and
impromptu.
Totally.
Just like, hey, let me tell you what I've seen in going horizontal in Raleigh.
Whatever, yeah.
Wow.
And so just before we got there, we started this Facebook group and, put it up, we each put it on our pages. Hey, we've got this Facebook group. And we like overnight, it was like 2,000 people in that group.
Oh my
so we get there and we're posting all these pictures and like post after I can't wait. I want to go to the next one. Let me know in the next one. We're like, next one. Like, this is just like cool thing that we're just doing.
Partying.
Yeah, we're just partying.
It's not a legal reason to get together and drink.
So then, speaking of drinking, we get in a room, the 3 of us, and it's a guy by the name of Anthony, a guy by the name of Bob. I'm Terry. And we're like drinking tequila, getting just hammered. And we're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to call this thing? Should we do this? And so, over tequila, we started coming up with these names. Like, and then we got all corny. Like, oh, let's, take the first initial of each one of our names. We're like BAT, ABT, TAB, right? And we're like, oh, Tab, Anthony, or Terry, Anthony, Bob. And then we're like, no, that's corny. What else can tab mean? And so then we came up with the absolute best. So
the absolute best.
Yeah.
Tab. Okay.
So the absolute
tab also
best.
Used to be a soda when we were children.
Right.
Shitty soda. Like
they probably
can crappy.
Got you fired up with caffeine
exactly.
for days. Yeah.
I wonder if they still have Tab anywhere. We got to find that.
Yeah. Right.
I'll send you a case.
So we came up with this name, and then I started putting the next one together, and it was roughly 6 months later. I think the first one was like maybe 70, 80 people. came to the first one. Second one was almost 200 people.
Now, were you thinking, okay, I mean, I got to have an agenda. I'm not going to.
The second time.
You did.
We did the whole thing. We had stage, speakers, and it was.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, a ton of work.
And are you front loading that expense?
Yes.
You
was,
tab?
Yes.
And
it
so
was very stressful.
Because you have to commit to rooms.
You have to commit to rooms, the whole, the room, the stage, the speakers.
So you could be out a few $100,000 up front, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then what? You're just crossing your fingers, everyone shows?
Yeah, and everybody in real estate wants to wait to the last minute for anything.
So as you're getting closer, you're going, this is a disaster.
Yeah, we're not even going to have an event. And then all of a sudden, floods of ticket sales and people go last minute. And so, yeah.
Did it economically work out?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you didn't lose any money. You still got the network.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't lucrative.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the relationships and different things that were made after that made it more worth it.
So other than getting hammered for a week and having some fun with that, was there any particular relationships that came out of it that exist today that you do anything with today, or is it more networking?
No, I think yes. The answer is yes. And it was, honestly, I think it's more of like the people that are local to me that went, that those relationships have carried on with, doing things still to this day.
And that developed into a little bit of coaching for you?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was actually amazed when we were talking last night. And for those that you do coach are not going to be happy with me for saying this, but I don't think you charge enough money. Like Christy and I are going to be talking later on that we have to change that cost structure, because I think you told me for like $8,000 or $9,000 a year they have access to you.
No, for lifetime access.
Like, what are we doing? I wouldn't let somebody have weekly access to me 1 week,
right?
Like that, because it's a lot of stuff. Like, hey,
it is a lot,
and all of their stresses they're throwing on you. And even if you say, I'm a tough guy,
I've structured this pretty good. I hired a coach that helped me develop this whole thing this way. I've gotten burnt out with coaching in the past. This way, I'm doing it a different way. It doesn't feel like work to me. It's very rewarding. This is a passion project. I like to do this. It's fun. It keeps me sharp, because when you're teaching something, you're learning it twice. For one, when you are teaching something, you're creating a system. You have to make sure your stuff's sharp.
Yes.
Right. So it's like,
because you're getting gut checked by individuals all the time.
Yes, and then it's like in the past, it's like you create systems, you do things. Well, things are constantly being refined, right, and getting better, but you get a little lazy when you don't have that accountability of people that are looking up to you for these answers.
I also love what you're doing. Most people that have found that level of success, for right reasons or wrong reasons, believe that it is proprietary. It is theirs. They're not going to share it. They kind of cover it up. And here you are letting it all hang out and seeing kind of what people are doing right and wrong and pointing it out and sharing your successes and thoughts and pivots. And you're doing it for nothing. You're doing it. Maybe it is food for the soul. Maybe you're doing it for your soul, because that kind of money, how many people are you coaching right now?
There's right about 50 people in the program.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. There's a bigger long-term gain. Like, I would love to, say 3, 4, 5 years from now, take these people that we've taken from what they were when they came in to where they're going to be, and have just a really tight-knit, powerful group to be able to do deals together.
Yeah, that's cool.
Maybe break off into another mastermind that's a different level. Mm-hmm. So it's like fun, and it's really structured right now, where it's not sucking the life out of me, and it's helping individuals as long as they follow the program.
Have you ever done a SWOT analysis on you and your wife's business, which means like SWOT, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats? Have you ever done that?
No, I haven't. And I know about it, and never really gave it a whole lot of thought. I think it's important. It's something that we should do.
No, we're going to do it right now. Okay. So what do you think, if you were to identify your strength, what is it?
So I think my strengths are the ability to really manage things and put things together and the right people together and systems and processes, and then get people to follow those things. And at the same time, a strength is being able to also do all these things. Like some people are good at doing things, some people are good at managing things, but not as many people can do it and manage it.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
it. That's a great strength. What about weaknesses? And I know that, again, your wife is listening very carefully right now, so be careful.
Yeah.
Weaknesses.
Well, number one, weaknesses are all the things she does. And that's why she does them. Like those are her strengths.
Yeah, she's fabulous.
I'm terrible at all of that stuff. If I have to read contracts, like we would probably be in so much trouble if I had to read and sign contracts, because I'm like, I get through the first couple, I'm like, I had enough. All right, sign it. Another really weaknesses is that I can do the things, so I end up getting too involved. So always having to like check myself. Like, okay, we got to stay on the path, the system, and not just jump into the old habits.
That's different level, because some people would say the fact that you are a builder and can do those things is a strength as well, because you're not trusting somebody who has a skill set that you really don't understand whether they're good or bad, but you do.
Yeah.
But you've interpreted that as, I know it so much, it could be a weakness because I'm going to dive in.
Exactly.
That's crazy. What about opportunities? I mean, today, it's a crazy time right now. Like, before you answer opportunities, are tariffs playing a part in your business right now today, or have you not seen it?
Hold on, let's get into the next one.
Okay. Oh, okay, good. Okay, so opportunities.
Opportunities, I think, would be, there's been, over the last couple of years, say since COVID, there's been a lot of opportunities with density, zoning changes everywhere. You're seeing it everywhere. So like here, big thing, ADUs, multiple ADUs, right? So we're able to take land and split this up and put multiple units on there, where before it would be like, a couple. And we're taking those opportunities and turning those into rental product.
Okay.
Because I don't care if something's slammed up if I'm using it as a rental property. If it's I wouldn't do, it's like, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yep.
Like if it was something I was selling, I wouldn't do that. But if I'm keeping it as a rental property and I have no intentions of ever selling this, I'm going to maximize density as much as possible, much as it makes sense.
Right.
So I think the opportunity is really learning the zonings, UDO, and the opportunities that what we can do to maximize on those.
Okay. And
So one that I have going on, I said the next 10 that we're getting ready to start, there was one lot, one house, and now we're building 10 units on it.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. On a main street. Like, it wasn't like a massive piece of land. This is like a very small piece that we're able to do this
10
with.
families are going to have housing.
Exactly.
That's crazy. And then threats, you said, wait, let's get back to that because you're tying.
Tariffs, the unknown. There's so much. I think it's very short-term unknown. I think we're going to have a rocky road, kind of how we started this whole conversation. I think between now and the next 6 to 8 months from now, there's a lot of unknown. How are tariffs going to affect us? How are, just different things with the economy, with interest rates, with, like, we have houses that are just kind of sitting on the market and not moving because people are freaking out about tariffs. So I think that's the biggest threat right now, is this kind of short-term rocky road that we're going down.
I shared with my team, the National Association of Home Builders put out a 2024 stat, and it was like $274 billion was spent on SFR construction in 2024. 274 billion. So call it a quarter trillion.
Yeah.
7% of that came from countries outside of the U.S.
Oh, wow.
So then you start thinking about the tariff, because, people freak out, and they just freak out because they see something on the news and no one does the math.
Exactly.
But so what I did was I just said, okay, I'm going to do the math. If there was a 50% net tariff to a country of one of those 7%, I take a $500,000 medium home price times 7% times 50%. It ends up being about, for fast math people, $17,500. Now, that is impactful, but the average flipper is making somewhere between 80 and 90,000 a home.
Well, it used to be not now it's
70,
20, 30, really.
Depending on where.
Depending on where, yeah.
But so if that goes down, a lot of these folks that have crews, they're not going to eliminate the build part of it. I think does it slow down? Possibly, but I do think you bring up the most important part, which is really the uncertainty. And so sometimes when there's that much uncertainty, people will sit and wait and watch. And so I think some of whatever these deals are that are out there need to get buttoned up so that the rest of the world goes, okay,
Yeah.
I see where this is going.
Exactly. And that's why it's a threat, not because I'm threatened by it or I'm worried about it. It's how people perceive it because of the media, and they freak out and, oh my God, we can't do anything. We got to stop. It's like, I think this is the greatest thing we've ever witnessed in our lifetime of what's going on. And it's just a master play. I remember reading the book, The Art of the Deal, many years ago, and being like, this is brilliant. Yeah. And now we're watching it being played out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, right? Like if you go just look at a calendar and all of these scheduled meetings that are set, you want to see some of these things get pulled over the line. Yeah. So there is some truth to that, and then people start calming down because there is craziness going on right now.
Right.
Best piece of advice you've ever been given, and by whom, and what was it?
By whom? I think you don't remember. I mean, it could be parents. I don't remember who, but I mean, I think the biggest thing is like, do what you say what you're going to do. Like, say what you're going to do and do it. Like, number one. Those are just like things that I kind of live by, instead of just like, oh, we're going to do this, and then not act and make things happen. I just think that just being genuine and upfront and clear is important.
And then so that was the best bit of advice you've gotten. Do you give that same advice, or if you were going to give someone starting in the business, what would you tell them today?
Somebody getting started in the business. Okay. If somebody's getting started in the business, and obviously it's biased because I have a coaching program, but whether it's me or somebody else, I'm not the only one out there doing it, is one of the things I wasted. You can call it wasted, but at the same time, it's experiences, and those are valuable. Wasted a lot of time, many years of my life doing things the wrong way because I didn't know, I didn't have the direction. So like, you can go in a straight line and get there very quickly, or you can go all over the place, and the money that you would invest into coaching, mentorship, whatever, I mean, it's going to be a whole lot cheaper than what you're going to put out there trying to figure it out on your own.
I hear the roar of the coaching crowd right now in the audience going, yeah. Yeah, it is a good point. And I think sometimes people remain short-sighted about that investment. Like I'm paying somebody else to tell me something that I could go figure out myself, which they never do.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone thinks they can figure it out. It's so easy, whatever. But yeah.
If somebody needed to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
I think the easiest thing is Instagram. That's where people reach out to me. It's my Instagram's Terry Thayer II. People DM me there, and that's where we start conversations.
It has been a pleasure. I mean, I know we do business together. That's secondarily for me. Like, you and your wife are fabulous human beings. I've enjoyed our time together and look forward to many more opportunities to share personal experiences. And I think we haven't talked about it, but we've both had our moments with fancy cars.
Yes.
he had a Lambo, and I was making fun of him. I was like, how the hell did you get in and out of that Lamborghini? Because it was so low to the ground. And so his lower back kind of gave out on him. Not really. And he got rid of it. Now we're back to driving Mazda trucks, both of us. Just joking.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Yeah,
Terry Thayer.
Thank you.
Are you ready to define success on your own terms and hear from those who have done exactly that? Follow us on your social media platforms at CV3 Financial and join the Unconventional crew for inspiring stories and insights. Go be unconventional.